Hey everyone, today I want to do a little bit different type of video. Today I want to try out a backpacking axe that I made in cooperation with Dan Pečnik in Slovenia. We forged the bit together and he did a lot of the grinding and heat treating and stuff on it, and I made the handle myself, and I did do some forging on it. And I want to show you the way it is set up in a close-up now. So as you can see, the axe has a fairly thick profile here, which will lend itself pretty good to splitting, and it has a convex grind, which is quite traditional, at least for axes in Slovenia. And for an axe that's primarily meant to be single-handedly used, it's fairly heavy, and the handle is designed in a way that I can still grab it with two hands, so this should give you quite a substantial amount of force. And the axe is set up in a way that it's quite a multi-purpose axe, so that this would be something that you would carry in your backpack, for example, on a hunting trip. And what you can do with it is, for example, like chop bones with it, and you can split wood quite well, but it should also be sharp enough so that you can fell wood and do some carving with it. I made a handle for a different type of, like, let's say, call it a battle axe for a friend of mine, and I carved the handle with this axe, and it's actually a really nice carving axe. Although it is not set up like a traditional carving axe would be at all, it lends itself really well to carving, and maybe I can show that to you a little bit later. But first of all, I'm going to chop down a tree with it. The tree that I will be chopping down is going to be this spruce, which is standing pretty close to several pine trees that we want to keep growing a little bit bigger. This is a private forest here, and I have full permission of the landowner to actually chop down this tree, and we're going to use it for either firewood or make building materials from it, like timber or something else that can be used. So I'm being completely legal here, and it's gonna be used well. And it's the diameter, I would say, a bit under 20 centimeters, or about right at 20 centimeters, so like about the size of an upper thigh. And that would be the maximum size of tree I would ever see myself chopping down in any sort of situation. Like, let's say you're going out somewhere in Lapland where it's in the winter like minus 45 degrees, and you want to stay overnight because like you're on a hunting trip and you need to get to a place, and you need to build yourself like a shelter with a long fire in front, and you can like split that wood and make like roofing shingles out of it, and make some sort of solid shelter, semi-permanent shelter with it. You would usually carry maybe a forest type of axe for it that has a little bit longer handle, but I want to try if this is a good compromise that you can still fit into a regular sized backpack and use two-handedly in case you need to chop down a tree with fairly substantial size and process it. I'll be also using my Bako Laplander. I do want to fell this tree safely, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop 2/3 with the axe, and then I will come from the back sawing in with the folding. So I would say excellent tool. It weighs very little, it is stored really easily, and I think that is something that everyone who goes out into the nature expecting that he has to do some bushcrafting type of work there should be carrying with himself, not just a knife or an axe, but this is an excellent tool. I cleared out the branches here. It saws through a branch like that, like a knife through butter, really quickly. You could really take off all the branches and use it for covering a roof of a shelter with, or just debranch it to make sections of wood with it. And this is a really good tool. Bako Laplander, I just bought it here somewhere in a store here in Finland really cheaply. Not getting sponsored by Bako, by the way, but it is what I heard one of the best folding saws that you can get. Most of them either break or bend, but this one I made good experiences with. So let's get to work, and I'll let you look over my shoulder. So I'm gonna do this kneeling, which is a pretty safe position because I'm not so likely to chop myself into the legs. And I can work fairly closely to the ground and I don't have to bend down. So this should be a pretty ergonomical position to work with. I'll be using both hands and I'll do it at about this size, this height. And I'll be chopping from the top like this, and then I'm going in straight like this. I'm not an expert by all means on chopping down trees with axes, but that should at least serve the theory. So first impression is it goes in really well. Spruce is not the easiest wood to chop. It's also quite fresh wood. I don't know how this would do on hardwood, but here in Finland it's certainly one of the more difficult trees to chop compared to pine or birch. It goes in really well. It does have bite, and you can see it shooting out flakes because the convex shape is really nice at actually splitting the wood off of something. Although it does make you get hit in the face. And I don't have that much more to go before I'll go in with the folding saw. Chop this corner here. I'll give you a close-up of the chopping. So on the horizontal cuts, it's actually cutting really nicely through all those fibers, and on the diagonal cuts it's also biting really deeply into the wood and splitting it out. By the way, if you guys have tips for me on chopping down trees with an axe, I'll be glad of some intel or input. I'm about halfway through now. I'll go a little bit more and then I will start sawing from the back. Let's see how this is looking. I am past the middle. A little bit more work on this side. Okay, I think that's far enough. Should be about 2/3 of the way. And it seems to be fairly equal. I have a nice corridor where I want to let it fall into. I hope I'm going to hit that mark. I'll come from the back sawing it now. I'll reposition the camera first. I think I'm coming from here. Okay, this tree is supposed to fall this way. If it starts going, I'm gonna back off towards where the camera is. And you want to start sawing just a little bit above the middle, like here. And let's see how that works with this small saw. I'm already an inch into the wood. It's starting. Over here. Let's see if I can't press it over already. Yep. Well, it's down. It wasn't quite the perfect landing I wanted over there, but it hit the mark pretty well, I think. You can see this worked like a hinge, like it was supposed to do. It was totally doable with just those little tools. Now, of course, we're gonna chop this up with a chainsaw or something or just plow it out of here with a tractor. But I can use this to saw off the branches. Really easily. So what I'm trying to get across here is you don't need a big huge cleaver of a knife that's going to be almost as heavy as an axe. If you have a folding saw, it's going to do a lot of really great work, and it weighs a lot less than a big heavy like Bowie knife or a machete, which would rather be suited for jungle. And you can just carry something nice and small for a knife like this, you know, for doing fine carving and processing meat and other food. Use a saw for sawing branches and stuff. And if you need to fell a tree or split something, which is what I'm going to try now, use an axe and you should be fine. So if you did not have, let's say, a folding saw, I think what you could also do is just really narrowly chop from behind. And I want to see how well can I get those branches off with this axe, just in case you would not have a saw. Let me see if I can do that without chopping into my knee. So that also works really well. I can cut with it really close to the stem. It's not a hewing axe, but could probably be used as one if it was really necessary. Also really easily used with one hand. It's working pretty great. So I just split off that one log there with a combination of the axe and the backhoe, and I'm gonna cut off another piece over there now with the same technique. This could maybe be split one or more times, for example, to make building material out of, like roofing shingles for a shelter or something, and I want to see if I can make some firewood out of a slightly shorter log and test the splitting abilities of the axe. This, of course, you would split using some sort of wedge technique, but I don't really have the time to try that out now. If you would take a big batten and a few wooden wedges that you could carve up, I think you could split something like that fairly easily also. There's a knot here, so I think I'll split it off here. It's not going to be very long, but who cares? And one thing I notice is that that bit is really making the chunks fly really nicely. Henry, can I have the saw so I can cut this up so I don't hit my hand? Thank you. Yes, thank you. So this would be something that you might have to do when you want to go somewhere with your vehicle and there's a tree laying on the road, which can happen through wind and everything. And you know, all you got is this backpack axe. Gotta cut through a fairly largely sized tree, at least for this region in Europe. Trying to get a fairly even cut so I can stand it up for splitting. This is of course not the most efficient way to go through it, where you would have a big notch and then get smaller, but I don't want to get too steep of an angle here. Okay, I'll do the rest with the little folding saw. So, getting one of these If you work efficiently, under 10 minutes with these. Let's see how well it splits. And then I think we'll run out of light, so we should get back home. So this one has a lot of knot holes and it's totally green wood. The light is fading here and we are getting eaten by mosquitoes, so I'll try to do that quickly. Let's see how that works. It's a pretty big piece and a small axe. So of course the first hit didn't really get through. And same here. I'm not a wood splitting expert. Maybe with a couple of goes we can get through this thing without hurting myself. You can see there's a big knot here, so I think I might actually try it from the other side. Let's see from this side. Yeah, that started splitting it. Okay. Let's see if I can another blow. Can land another blow fairly closely to that. Aha. There we go. A bit closer. Aha. Okay, let's see. So we position it like this. Not quite yet there. Perfect. One nice split. Let's see if we can't repeat that. How do I stand it? Maybe like this. I'll come from this side. I hope you can still see it. Come from the other side now. Yeah. Do a little bit of carving. This handle I made so that you can grip it up here, and then you can do some carving with it really well. As I said, I made another axe handle with this axe. At least, you know, the plank I carved out of a trunk of wood. Then I used a bell sander, but this in combination with a nice carving knife would be really good at processing down some material. You can see it really flakes that material off greatly. So as you can see, it's getting really dark now, but what's important is that you can hear me for the final words. This was an extreme test. I think I would never recommend anyone to go into the woods with a small axe like that, wanting to fell a tree that's, you know, about 25-30 yards high and almost a foot in diameter. But you know, extreme test is good to see if it performs. In that extreme test, you know, I know if I want to chop down something about this size, you know, and split it and everything, if I'm out somewhere with the car or with the backpack, I can basically always have this with me and have some really good firepower to do some nice chopping, especially in combination with a nice folding saw. and a nice sharp knife. I hope you guys enjoyed this little test, and stay tuned for hopefully more videos soon on my channel. I have a lot to do with university, so I'm not pumping them out really quickly, but I definitely plan to continue my channel with blacksmithing, tools, firearms related stuff and other things. I'll get back inside now, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.